A while ago, I went on an exploration of an abandoned facility in Germany. This place was hardly visible on Google Maps, so I had to rely on the instructions my friend in Germany gave me. I was told to walk the path through the woods following the abandoned railroad track. At the end of the track there would be a tunnel, and at the end of the tunnel I would see the abandoned army base. When I visit abandoned places, I usually have a set of themes that I wish to study and document. First, I wanted to establish the degree to which the building had been declining after being neglected for 25 years. Secondly, I was interested in seeing if there were any traces of unauthorized alternative use of the building. You see, some of these abandoned places aren't abandoned at all. And finally, I wanted to make an assessment of the safety and health risks regarding entering the building. As usual, the ease with which I could enter a place like this was incredible. No fences, no warning signs, nothing. This basically was an extension of public space. I noticed staircases with pretty serious cracks in it, creating the risk of fatal accidents. There were shards of glass all over the place. Although most of the windows have been smashed years ago, and wind and rain could freely enter the building during the long and cold winters in Eastern Europe, the structure of the building looked pretty sound, at least at first sight. And because the structure looks safe, it is very tempting to ignore the risks that are most definitely very much present. These buildings were so incredibly large that I could hardly imagine that I was all alone here. This army base had been abandoned 25 years ago, and ever since it had been a place for homeless people and drug addicts to take shelter. But I was told that for the past few months, most of them had left the place. So to me, that would be the perfect opportunity to explore a historic building that perhaps someday would be gone forever. The problem with these very large abandoned buildings is that the escape route is always far away. In case I need to run away for whatever reason, my way out is a long way to go. Of course, I try to memorize my tracks as precisely as possible, but this building is so big, the chances are that I simply get lost. It happened to me before. Now, this is where we're getting to the main issue of this exploration. I started to hear weird sounds, a rumbling sound, like a train or a factory. But it wasn't a train. There were no train tracks anywhere close to me, and it wasn't a factory either. But what was it? I always play as safe as possible, so because of this weird sound, I turned around and tried to find my way back to the exit. But this building is a maze, and every new room looks exactly like the previous room. The rumbling sound now got more loud. Whatever was making that sound, I was getting closer to it, or it was getting closer to me. For a moment I stopped and focused on the rumbling noise. There were now more sounds. I heard something that sounded like some kind of ratchet. The sounds were getting louder and louder. I was getting closer to it, but I had no choice but to continue in this direction because the exit was there. So let's turn down the volume of the music now, so that you can experience the sounds for yourself. Something felt totally off here. I still hadn't figured out what was going on. All I knew at that point was that I wanted to keep moving towards the exit. And then I finally realized what was going on. you saw that correctly. I was exploring an abandoned building that was being demolished while I was inside it. The building was so big that I didn't check the entire perimeter. The demolition crew was at the other side of the building, so I hadn't seen them. And for some reason, there was no fence around the building or the terrain. I could walk right into the building that was being demolished at that very moment. It's crazy, I know. I was lucky this time, but this adventure could have had a very unfortunate outcome if I had started running a few minutes later. How could I have prevented this mistake? Well, I should have checked the entire perimeter of the building, not just the front side. Oh well, I learned something that day, and only my ego got a bit hurt, so it was a cheap lesson. Thanks for watching.